Greetings, gentlemen and ladies. I am the old school game snob, and this is a look at the Immortal Frozen Orb Sorceress. As you can see, she is fairly tanky, as long as her mana stays up anyway. Here's a look at her in the Halls of Pain. And of course she's not entirely invincible, but she doesn't really have to worry all that much about most things. If I wasn't just standing here like an idiot, you can see just how resistant she would be to most forms of damage. Well, you gotta watch that energy shield though, because that is her source of life and survival. If that comes off from a mana burn or something like that, then you start to get into big trouble. As you can see, she takes damage entirely to her mana, and her health pool remains entirely undisturbed for the most part. The very nice thing about this is just how quickly her mana regenerates. That is your source of health regenerating absolutely quickly, and this isn't even with my Mercenary's Insight running. Here she is in the Frigid Highlands taking some javelin throws. If you've taken javelin throws, you know how hard these things hit. They can take you down in just a couple of shots, but she almost doesn't even notice they're there. Just a slow degradation of her mana pool. Just sip a little bit of mana, shoots right back up, no problems. Here she is over at Shenk the Overseer, standing right in the middle of things, just taking hits, taking damage, not even a tiny bit concerned. Look at that, her mana's hardly even going down. Sip a little mana potion, keep it up, and it's just so relaxed. Here she is facing up against a whole squad of skeleton undead archers, and yes, that mana pool does go down. But again, if the Insight was around with his aura, no problem. Not invincible, but absolutely tough. How about the dreaded bugged Tomb Viper with their basically insta-kill poison that has that bugged crushing blow? Can she survive that alright? Yeah, she's okay. Just got to keep that energy shield up. Don't want that to fall off. How are we doing here? Pretty good though, right? Not too bad. These guys are absolutely killers for the most part, no problem. Oop, keep that energy shield up. Like I say, that's the one thing. You got to keep that energy shield up. If her mana goes down all the way, and this is way less of a problem when you have your Mercenary and his Insight aura, but just for example, we don't want the Mercenary killing everything while we're trying to do an example here, so yeah, anyway, as you can see, that would kill most characters. Alright, now we've got our Mercenary with us here. Let's see how we do. Just kind of stand around, hang out, check out that mana. Just absolutely not even moving. Okay, the poison does get through a little bit, but you know, that is one of her little weaknesses. That's why this build stacks a lot of poison resistance, and we'll talk about that again in just a minute. But like I say, these are the Tomb Vipers. These guys are killers. These guys absolutely murder characters out of the blue. I have a video actually specifically about this, but yeah, no, not the Immortal Orb Sorceress. She is just so tanky. Okay, let's get into the build. I just love playing this character. This is so fun. You feel like a god. Oh, I interrupt this video to give a very big thank you to the lovely, fantastic Rockstar Diablo 2 fans that have subscribed to my channel. I appreciate the support so much. Alright, thank you. Okay, let's take a look at the build, and then I'll show you how she does for killing stuff. You've seen how good she is at surviving stuff, but then I'll show you how she is for killing stuff, because she's pretty good at that too. So, in the Cold Tree, we have 20 points into Ice Bolt, 20 points into Cold Mastery, and 20 points into Frozen Orb. We have 1 into Frozen Armor. In the Lightning Tree, we have 20 points into Telekinesis. What this does is it synergizes with our Energy Shield. And essentially, when you get 20 points of Telekinesis, your mana takes only 75% of full damage. Oh, and I nearly forgot, it bears worth mentioning that only hard points count. Your skill boosted points do not count to the synergy for your energy shield. So if you have 10 points into telekinesis that are coming from skill or charms or gear, that does not count towards the damage reduction. So these need to be hard points. So very important. Typically, energy shield takes 200% of full damage to your mana. When you have 20 points in telekinesis, it only takes 75%. So this essentially acts as damage reduction. So that is really nice. In the Fire Tree, I have 1 point into Warmth, just because of the bang for your buck. Recharging mana is the name of the game for this character, so yeah, why not? Now, for Energy Shield, I have put the rest of her points. That's 71% damage reduction, currently at level 88. That's pretty good, not too bad. As you can see, she wasn't taking any damage to her life. You could potentially raise this up more as you level up and dump some of her damage reduction gear as her base energy shield damage reduction increases, and swap it out for, oh, I don't know, Stone of Jordan or some other skill boosting item that increases your damage. But for now, 71% seems pretty good. In the stats area, I have put 156 into strength, well, a little bit more, but you can tweak this to have it optimized for the gear that you're wearing. 156 is of course to wear the Monarch Spirit Shield, which is not what I will be using all the time, but it's nice to be able to use it when you want it. As you can see, this is sort of a rough build. Don't pay any attention to my 196. You can tweak that of course depending on the gear that you have and the charms that you have, enough to wear your Monarch Shield. The rest I have dumped into energy. That is because mana is life, and the more mana you have, the faster your mana recharges, and of course the more hit points you have, basically, because mana are your hit points. But basically mana recharges based on how much your total pool is. So if you have a higher supply of mana, your recharge rate also goes up considerably. That of course is also helped by the warmth skill. So when you combine high mana with warmth, then you have a really nice recharge rate. Of course, you can also stack something like Insight, the Insight polearm on top of that too, to get a really ridiculous mana recharge so fast. As you could see before, that it barely moved when it was being attacked. So yeah, good stuff. So let us now take a look at this gear. And now this is the fairly budget version of this gear. There are many optimizations you can make in terms of charms and things like that, but this is sort of your essential gear that you'll kind of need. So this is kind of a mid-level character, mid-cost, mid-range expensiveness, right? So I've got right here Death's Fathom. That's the most expensive thing, but you can actually swap that out for a crystal sword and still be extremely viable. So that is not necessary, but it is very, very nice for any cold sorceress, of course. For the rest of her gear, I have the Shaco. Now, I really like the Shaco just because of how much life it gives us and how much mana it gives us, not to mention that it gives us +2 to skills and all that other really good stuff. And since this character is so very low on life initially, that big health boost from Shaco is really, really nice. Now, your gear can of course be tweaked and optimized depending on where you're fighting and what you're likely to encounter. You could of course swap out Ix Belt for a Gold Wrap. You could swap out Nature's Peace for a Nagel Ring, Goldfine Ring. You could swap out the Sandstorm Trek Boots, which I'm using right now for their poison resistance. You could swap that out for War Travelers. For some more magic find, right? So you can gear this character around to get more magic find. You could swap in a Gull Dagger or a Blade of Alibaba, again, to get more magic find. Perfectly viable. She'll do plenty of damage, but I'm just kind of showing her in her top form at the moment. And depending on the area that you go, you kind of tweak things around so you get your best damage output and your best magic find. But if you're trying to survive poison and you're encountering like monsters with a lot of poison, then you do need to stack up your poison resistance. That is one of this character's weaknesses, because poison will punch right through her energy shield. So if you're encountering poison monsters, yeah, make sure you got some gear for poison. I've got Nature's Peace Ring to help with that. I've also got, like I say, the Sandstorm Trek boots. But let's talk about her essential gear, the gear that makes her immortal, basically resistant to damage. Now, it is important that we get some damage reduction gear. That is flat damage reduction, not a percentage, but flat damage reduction. So you should try to find as near to perfect as possible Gladiator's Bane. This is a really nice armor piece that reduces your magic damage and your physical damage by up to 20. If it's close, that's fine. Doesn't have to be totally perfect. I've also socketed this with a Soul Rune for an additional 7 points of damage reduction. I've also socketed my Shaco for an additional 7 points of damage reduction. And for the shield, I've got Girk's Sanctuary, also very nice because it gives you that flat damage reduction and flat magic reduction, 23 and 18, or up to. Like I say, it doesn't need to be perfect, but get it there as high as you can. I've also socketed this with a soul. This is also nice because you also get resistances. So all in all, pretty good stuff here. The Nature's Peace Ring is also nice. Damage reduction by up to 11 and poison resist, again, optional. Right now this character has damage reduction of up to 78. And magic damage reduction of 38. Now that is probably more than is necessary. You could probably swap that around and just use a Spirit Shield, have damage reduction of 45, and that would still be plenty. Again, this can be sort of variable depending on how high your energy shield is up. The more damage your energy shield reduces, the less physical damage and magical damage that you have to also then reduce to equal basically 0 damage and take no damage to your health pool. Again, you can also just take a little bit of damage to your health pool and sip a healing potion here and there. So this is very playable. Even if you don't stack this to max, but it's kind of fun to take no damage, so I kind of like stacking it to max. Another piece of really good gear for this character are the Frostburn Gauntlets. These increase your maximum mana by 40%, and as you know, mana is life, and 40% is a lot. Look at that. 1,000 without them, 400 points of mana from those Frostburn Gauntlets. Also really nice is just like 100 mana ring. Those are really, really nice. So yeah, you can of course also stack on some mana and life charms. I've just put 2 in here. These are really perfect ones that you're not likely to find too easily, but again, I've got a bunch of inventory space here that you will probably fill up, and I'm just trying to simulate what you're likely to actually find in terms of mana charms to try to keep this kind of a budget build, or at least a realistic budget build. For boots, like I say, yeah, you can put the poison resistance, you can put alders for fire resistance, you can kind of swap that around as you need, depending on what areas you like to be farming. For your amulet, I've got Talrashas, +2 to skills. You could also use like a +3 lightning skills, just magic blue amulet to really get your energy shield up. You could also use like even a +1 or +2 caster amulet or +1 caster amulet or something like that. Again, this is not totally critical make or break gear right here, but this is just kind of how you want to configure it. The make or break stuff is your damage reduction, and that's about it. For the weapon, the Death's Fathom is absolutely top tier for this character, but Spirit Sword, also very good. You can also have a really great time with Spirit Sword. These are really nice items. You can potentially even use both of these, and you still have damage reduction of 45, and your mana pool goes up a whole bunch too. And you don't really need faster cast rate that much, except for teleporting. And otherwise, your damage is Frozen Orb, which is on a timer anyway. So FCR not really too important to this build. Anyway, I think that about covers this build. Let's take this character out for a spin. One of the tougher areas because of all the different damage types that are going on. The River of Flame, you can just kind of check out some of her kill power with that fairly maxed out Frozen Orb. It's pretty good, not too bad. The problem is, of course, any cold immunes in the Chaos Sanctuary. But if you have a decent mercenary, oh, and I actually forgot to talk about the mercenary. But if you have a decent mercenary, he can handle it pretty well, and since you're so damage resistant, you can skip a lot of stuff that you don't want to kill. The main thing that you'll need to kill with your mercenary is Lord Decease. One of the things that I like to do is keep my Spirit Sword and my Spirit Shield on my weapon swap, and that way if I'm teleporting around and I want to get around faster, I just do a quick swappity swap, and then I'm off to the races. Also, if I'm in a safe area and I want to get my damage up, again, swappity swap, and I can do a little more damage. The thing is, if you're in a dangerous spot and you want to be more tanky, you can swap to your shield and have more damage resistance. We're headed to the Ancient Tunnels here because the problem with any pure cold sorceress or any pure single damage type sorceress is they will be limited into what they can handle. That is a problem for the Blizzard sorceress. That is also a problem for the Immortal Orb sorceress. But like I say, that is, you get some and you give some, and that's kind of the balance of the thing. Like I say, very tanky, no problem, and good, very good at taking out stuff. No problems. I mean, tiny bit slower maybe than Blizzard, but still, not too much slower. And yeah, this is the character that I would actually play hardcore because she is just so tanky. At the Moo Moo farm, she does pretty well, not too bad. She's able to take down the cows quite efficiently, as you can see. Again, not as fast as the Blizzard sorceress, but still, that's pretty good. Not too bad, right? And the nice thing is if you accidentally teleport into a whole bunch of cows, you're probably still okay. Yeah, that's alright, right? That's not too bad. What I was going to say, though, is that one of the things I actually like on my mercenary is that Defiance aura, right? That defense increase. And here's the reason why. Because when you combine Chilling Armor with that Defiance aura, she actually gets an armor all the way up at, where is it, 9,200. So only a 29% chance of being hit by these cows, for example. So when they do actually manage to hit her, well, until the mercenary dies, when they do manage to hit her, the damage is absorbed by that energy shield. So she's got several layers of defense. Like I say, this is a character that I have played hardcore all the way up to level 93, actually. And she's been very successful. Actually, I played sort of a hybrid Lightning Orb Immortal Sorceress, which is what I will be doing a build on pretty soon. Just because when I play, I kind of like to be able to play anywhere. and not have my damage limited to one type of cold damage. I know a lot of players like to max out their damage and be able to do one area really well. I kind of like to balance it out so I can do every area pretty well. That's kind of my style. So yeah, she does cows really well, you know, quite well. She does Chaos Sanctuary, not too bad. She can do, of course, anywhere that doesn't have cold immunes, basically. Anyway, I hope you have all enjoyed this video.